The system rewards black men for claiming an allegiance to violent street gangs and penalizes black men who explore and or legitimately adhere to a religious faith that supports male leadership. Think about it. Had Kyrie Irving retweeted the movie Straight Outta Compton, a biographical drama celebrating the satanic rise of N-words with attitude and gangster rap music, there would be no controversy. Zero. The NFL would ask Irving to crip walk at halftime of the Super Bowl. Kyrie Irving is a pariah. Meanwhile, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Jay-Z are American royalty. That says something really negative about American culture. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday to you and yours. Hope you had a great weekend. I did. I had an awesome weekend. I went to go see the premiere of season 3 of The Chosen. They did the first 2 episodes. The Chosen is a series dramatizing the life of Jesus and the disciples. They did a movie premiere for season 3. The first 2 episodes. I went to go see it Saturday. It was amazing. I also made the mistake Saturday of, I had a friend in town and we took a 5-mile walk around the city of Nashville in 35, 40 degree weather, and I was not dressed appropriately. So I got a little sniffly nose. I'm hoping that, I'm warding off all the COVID demons. Devil, get away from me in the name of Jesus Christ. I think I'm good and we're going to make it. But regardless, we're going to have a great show. Royce White's going to be here. Steve Kim's going to be here. Coach Jason Brown. We're going to review the NFL. But we're also going to talk a little Kyrie Irving. He made his return to the NBA last night. So we have a fantastic show planned for you. And we're going to start with me telling you guys about this special Good Ranchers is putting on for the holiday season. You know what would be a great gift this year? To take away inflation for someone you love. While you can't control their gas prices or home prices, you can stop meat inflation for yourself and everyone you know and love. How? A subscription to Good Ranchers during their Black Friday special. Beef prices are expected to go up another 15% in 23. But Good Ranchers customers who use my code, FEARLESS, will experience 0% inflation all year long. That's because every subscriber locks in their price for the life of their subscription. If that's not enough to get you to subscribe, you can also get their Black Friday offer right now. That's 2 free 12-ounce Black Angus New York strip steaks and 2 free pasture-raised chicken breasts with any order that uses my code, FEARLESS. Head on over to GoodRanchers.com to find the perfect box for you in their curated selection of America's best meat and seafood. Give the gift of zero inflation and America's best meat to yourself or someone you love. Good Ranchers' award-winning service and quality are why they have over 7,000 5-star reviews. Remember to visit GoodRanchers.com and subscribe with my code FEARLESS at checkout to grab the Black Friday special, their best offer of the year: 2 free Black Angus steaks, 2 free pasture-raised chicken breasts, 0 inflation, all with Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. You guys know my pitch. Good fearless soldiers feed their family Good Ranchers. It's a little thing we can do to support a business that believes in us and our way of life. All right, let me start a fire so that we can cook. Those of you that are ordering Good Ranchers right now, let me start a fire, and so you can start thinking about when that Good Ranchers comes, I'm going to actually cook it, and I'm going to cook it with this fire Whitlock's just starting on Kyrie Irving. Let's say Kyrie Irving thought he was a woman rather than an Israelite. Joe Biden would honor the NBA star with a Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Barack and Michelle Obama would host a gala at Martha's Vineyard for the 12-year pro. The founders of Black Lives Matter would welcome the point guard to one of their mansions to discuss the brilliance of Karl Marx. ESPN would hand the Nets player multiple ESPY awards for courage. The New York Times would write glowing feature stories. Hip-hop music executive Lear Cohen would insist that Little Nasty X, Cardi B, and Jay-Z make a posse cut extolling Irving's beauty. All the blue check pundits pretending that Irving's tweet of a movie poster was an existential threat to Jewish people would champion Irving as a historic trailblazer, and many of them would secretly slide into his DMs. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver might go as far as paying Louis Farrakhan's Fruit of Islam security force millions of dollars to protect Kyrie Irving. Unfortunately, Kyrie Irving thinks he's a Jew, not a woman. That's dangerous. That's aggressively discouraged in the NBA, which operates inside an American zeitgeist that aggressively polices the thoughts of black people. So the Brooklyn Nets suspended Irving for 8 games and apparently insisted he complete some sort of communist re-education program. Sunday afternoon, before he was allowed to take the court against the Memphis Grizzlies, Irving apologized a third time for tweeting a poster promoting a documentary that claims to reveal the true genealogy of American blacks. Take a listen.
With all that being said, I just want to offer my deep apologies to all those who are impacted over these last few weeks, specifically my Jewish relatives, my black relatives, all races and cultures. I feel like we all felt the impact, and I don't stand for anything close to hate speech or anti-Semitism or anything that is going against the human race. I feel like we all should have an opportunity to speak for ourselves when things are assumed about us. And I feel it was necessary for me to stand in this place and take accountability for my actions.
Let me go, Rodney King. Can we all get along now? Can we all move on? Is this over? Or how many more apologies is Kyrie gonna have to do? I think many people in corporate media would love to move on from this. Their reaction to Irving has exposed the fraudulence of their revolutionary posturing and alleged desire to support the next Muhammad Ali. They've been exposed as gatekeepers and overseers. Their job is to police the thoughts of black men and prevent the rise of another Ali, Malcolm X, or even Martin Luther King Jr. The system rewards black men for claiming an allegiance to violent street gangs and penalizes black men who explore and or legitimately adhere to a religious faith that supports male leadership. Think about it. Had Kyrie Irving retweeted the movie Straight Outta Compton, a biographical drama celebrating the satanic rise of N-words with attitude and gangster rap music, there would be no controversy, zero. The NFL would ask him to crip walk at halftime of the Super Bowl. NWA released 2 albums, Straight Outta Compton in 1988 and N-Words for Life in 1991. The songs on both albums denigrate black people and promote immorality in every form. Corporate media used one song, F the Police, to argue that NWA was the West Coast version of Public Enemy. It's a joke and a lie. One song with a tiny kernel of truth does not justify the immorality preached on every other song. We don't apply that standard to other forms of art. Take, for instance, Hebrews to Negroes. The entire 3-hour documentary must be disavowed because 10 minutes of it meet the Anti-Defamations League of Anti-Semitism. NWA's entire catalog meets any reasonable standard of anti-black denigration. But we can celebrate Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Ren, and Yella. Kyrie must be punished, though. The double standard makes no sense unless you understand that popular culture seduces and requires black men to support their own demise. Joe Biden says we're not black unless we endorse the abortion of our seed, the empowerment of the LGBTQ alphabet mafia, and the worship of the matriarchy. We must hate Donald Trump, even though we spent decades celebrating him in rap songs. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I spent the past 2 weeks reading and talking about them, trying to get a better understanding of their beliefs. As best I can tell, their real agenda seems to be appealing to black men to live up to the laws and covenants spelled out in the Old Testament of the Bible. Some of them appear to be belligerent and racist. I've met and engaged with belligerent and bigoted Christians. Racial idolatry plagues mankind and all religious sects. I've yet to hear Kyrie Irving say anything that strikes me as bigoted. He tweeted a movie poster, and corporate media overreacted at the behest of people who, in my opinion, have grown tired of Irving taking independent actions that black men are not supposed to do. Sunday night, following the Grizzlies-Nets game, a reporter asked Kyrie if he would take responsibility for the 1,000 or so Hebrew Israelites protesting outside the Barclays Center. Irving declined to answer the question. Irving did not cause the protest. Brooklyn Nets owner Joseph Tsai caused the protest when he suspended Irving for tweeting a movie poster. Had Tsai and Adam Silver ignored Irving's harmless tweet and respected his free speech, there would be no controversy. Why didn't they ignore Irving? Because he could be a super spreader of independent thought. The puppet masters of popular culture don't want any of us, black or white, Jew or Gentile, rich or poor, waking up to how they restrict the freedoms granted us by our Creator. That's my fire. I want to play one more Kyrie clip. I want to play the exchange between Kyrie and two reporters when he declined to respond to their questions. I want to play that clip so that we can have some more context around this conversation before I bring Royce in. Could we play that clip?
Hey, Kyrie. There was a group of about 100 people outside wearing the shirt of a group called Israel United in Christ, a group labeled as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They were outside in support of you and handing out anti-Semitic literature on the plaza, people walking by. And I was wondering if I can get your reaction to that.
I didn't see it. What happened? There was a group outside?
There was a group outside, 100, possibly more. They were wearing a shirt called Israel United in Christ. They're a group labeled as a hate group by the...
I think that's a conversation for another day. I'm just here to focus on the game.
Kyrie, but you've said this whole time that you didn't know what kind of what kind of voice you had. But if these are the people that are out here in your name, do you feel like that's a consequence of what you've done?
Again, I'm just here to focus on the game.
Kyrie should have told him hell no, because that's the game that they love to play. It's no different than what they did to Kanye, and they put 6 people out on a bridge. Talk about, oh, look, Kanye's words sparked these people to go on a bridge and do these anti-Semitic signs. It's no different than January 6th. Ray Epps and all the other FBI agents planted in that crowd to stir up BS about the January 6th protesters. We don't have to play their game. We can see the truth in terms of Kyrie Irving's actions didn't cause the Hebrew Israelites to come out and support him. Joseph Tsai's reaction, overreaction, all the little puppets on ESPN and Fox Sports and TNT that came out and shredded Kyrie Irving. That's what provoked the Hebrew Israelites to come out. These people are liars or they're blind. I want to play there's about a 58-second clip of the Hebrew Israelites marching in support of Kyrie Irving last night. And for this clown to sit up there was probably 100 people out there. Nah, that looked like thousands to me. Let's play that. This line goes on and 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 on forever. They basically surrounded the Barclays Center. There wasn't some hundreds, there were thousands out there. And you know what? I'm proud of them. Because this is what happens when the media fails to do its job. When the media strings up Kyrie Irving at the behest of the puppet masters. The people should rally up and support him. Because the media is failing to do its job. They don't have one shred of evidence of Kyrie Irving saying anything anti-Semitic. Not one thing. He retweeted a movie poster, and someone in the media with some common sense and a platform should have called BS on Joseph's side and the whole overreaction by the NBA and all these stipulations, and we got to re-educate Kyrie. But if the media is a coward and bought and paid for, thank God, and I don't care what religion they practice, thank God some men showed up and showed some support for Kyrie Irving. Royce, welcome to Fearless. Glad to have you back. And I say this tongue in cheek, but I really am not cracking a joke. If this man thought he was a woman, he would be better treated by the media than thinking he's a Jew. And that says something awful about our culture.
If he came out and said that he was a woman, they would build a statue of him outside the Barclays. They would build a statue of him, and they would build a rainbow walkway or crossway that leads to the statue and celebration and honor of how far our culture has come and how far the political discourse has come. You know, I think black people, you know, we went back onto the plantation in 1968 when the Civil Rights Act was passed. We went back onto the plantation, and we've been on the plantation, and now we're getting jacked into an artificial intelligence matrix, and the algorithms tell us what we should and shouldn't think. And anybody who wants to wake up from that and think on their own is a target to be persecuted and dragged through the streets as an example.
I am watching this fallout to Kyrie Irving, and I'm like, hey man, there's a policing of our particular thought. As black men, we are not allowed to think certain things. And this connects to my entire narrative. Anybody that's listened to this show, and anybody that's listened to this show, I keep telling y'all, the black man, religious man, has played an incredible role in the success of America. The black religious man has been America's moral compass, holding this country accountable and making it live up to its highest ideals. And there is a group of people that hate this country, hate this Constitution that we live by, want to take our freedoms away from us, and they've devised a plan to silence black men of any religious faith. Anybody that watches the show knows I'm a Christian. I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Christian. But I'm not. Men inspired by religious faith will stand on some principles that the secular just will not. And I think there is a calculated effort to control, and that's why Kyrie is such a target. They don't want black men thinking independently. They don't want them thinking they can be self-sufficient. They don't want them thinking, hey, you're one of God's children. You're chosen just like everybody else. They want nothing to do with that, and that's why Kyrie's being mistreated.
And this is the multidimensional war that's taking place. This is a three-dimensional and four-dimensional political, social, economic war that's taking place. They're completely fine with black men coming together under the auspices of whatever their political agenda is. And mostly the common thread, like I've said many times, is a rejection of God. Any coming together under the auspices of God or religious belief is something that is inherently opposed by the establishment, and they show it time and time again. I mean, the establishment, and this is what I caution all black people and all people to understand and see. Look at the lines that they've divided themselves along. Look at the line that they've drawn in the sand, and they indicate where you should stand as a person who has certain values or beliefs. And right now, I think that my biggest disappointment is that we've failed in large part to rally in opposition, which is why I'm proud to see the Hebrew Israelites stand up in that way. And that doesn't mean that I have to endorse any and everything that anybody associated with the organization has said. And the same goes for Kyrie Irving or Jaylen Brown or anybody else who was proud to see that black men could come together and stand up outside of a corporate institution, the corporatocracy, and let their voice be heard and not be killing each other or not be the victims of violence against one another. That is a proud moment for black people, and it shows us that the white liberal establishment that claims to have our best interests at heart or have our lives mattering at the focal point of their movement is not what it's about. And they've shown it time and time again. We have to get wise to it, and our white, black, Latino, Mexican, Christian, Jew, Muslim brothers and sisters all around the country and all around the world have to set aside our petty differences and rally. We have to rally right now.
I argue at the end of my piece that basically there's a fear that Kyrie could be a super spreader of independent thought. And I really sense in this that there is a real fear and a desperation like, oh my God. The overreaction to Kyrie to me suggests that their control is very tenuous at best. And they know that they can't keep running scam after scam after scam, psyop after psyop after psyop. And so they can't let Kyrie survive because, again, just like how Jaylen Brown has grown a pair, they're very afraid others might. And it may, again, it's the Hebrew Israelites, those 2,000 men showing up could very quickly turn into 20,000 or 30,000 if they keep pushing this narrative.
Absolutely. This is the Colin Kaepernick perfected, and it's only gonna snowball from here, right? This is the Colin. These two young men. Let's take Jaylen Brown and Kyrie Irving, or even myself as a young athlete still in the mix. We are the culmination of what Colin Kaepernick failed to do. When Colin Kaepernick was too afraid or unwilling to confront the contradiction in the narrative, individuals like us have stood up, and Kyrie has stood up and been willing to do so. Now, I hate to see them, force him to apologize in the way that they did, but we all understand that there's a longer game being played. And my motto is no apologies, no selling out, no matter what. But I'm a militant, and Kyrie Irving is a much more humble and amenable personality. And I think that this is far from over for Kyrie Irving and the NBA and the establishment, because make no mistake about it, COVID's getting rebooted. I mean, when you see the G20 make a coordinated decision, a consensus to bring vaccine passports when the pandemic is all but over, I mean, that's pretty much a canary in the coal mine that we should brace for another pandemic. So, and we haven't had any accountability for the first one. We haven't had any accountability for the gain of function research. There's been no stop to the gain of function research. There's been no stoppage in the partnership or collaboration between us and other countries around gain of function research. And I only say that in this context because Kyrie Irving has still yet to be heralded and celebrated for the man that he was for standing up at that moment. And they're not going to let him live that down. And at the time where they rise back up to really clip him out, it's going to take organizations like these Black Hebrew Israelites and many others to stand up and rally around him. And at that moment, you're going to see a real sign and symbol of hope in this country.
I think a lot of people were, Brian Flores is going to sue the NFL. Colin Kaepernick's going to sue the NFL. I don't think any of those things were ever going to go anywhere real. Kyrie Irving suing the NBA for what they've done to him, I think that has a real chance, and he hinted at that in his post-game press conference yesterday. Let's watch the clip.
Kyrie, forgive me if you've been asked this already, but when you were suspended, there were a lot of players around the league, Jaylen Brown is one specifically, that didn't like the way your suspension was handled. I'm just curious if you ever thought about filing a grievance or exploring those avenues at all.
I got to leave that to my legal team and leave it to the warriors I have around me. I have some strong people, men and women around me that are going to do everything possible to make sure that I'm protected and my family's protected and we protect one another. So, I'm sure some things will be done in the future, but there's no timetable on that right now.
Royce, I really think a lawsuit from Kyrie could be devastating to the NBA.
Well, I don't think the lawsuit will be devastating in a economic sense. You know, their insurance will end up eventually paying whatever damages are due. But from a viewership and an audience standpoint and a cultural standpoint, from a brand standpoint, it certainly has the potential to be. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Kyrie Irving bring an action. I think he should bring an action against the NBA, and I think the union should rally around him. And I'm glad that Jaylen Brown has already made his opinion clear on the matter, because that would hopefully mean that the union would support him the proper way, and the union could actually become a union, which it was not under the leadership of Michelle Roberts and Billy King before her. So I think Kyrie Irving right now is trying to be a good teammate, be somebody who made a commitment to play during this season and has ambitions to win and still wants to be a part of that organization from a athletic standpoint and a competitive standpoint. But I think he's being very strategic around the extra basketball things that are going on, and I applaud that as well. Sometimes you have to be strategic.
You said Billy King. I think you meant Billy Hunter, who I actually knew well, and feel like Billy Hunter, this Tamika, whoever they got running, this Yas Queen they got running it now, her and Michelle Roberts have both been disasters. They've said nothing. The executive directors, that they're leaving it to the players. This is why you hire these executive directors. They're supposed to have a pair of balls. They're supposed to be surrounded by powerful lawyers. And instead, they're leaving this fight to Jaylen Brown and Kyrie Irving. This union looks weak, but maybe it's some. I've yet to see the executive director, this Tamika whatever, and they put out one statement about Kyrie Irving and what's going on here and how his religious freedom and freedom of speech are being violated. Kyrie's going to have to seek outside help, and I think from a control of athletes perspective, Kyrie could blow this whole thing up, and I hope that he does. Thank you, Royce. Great job. We may see you tomorrow. I want to tell you guys about Crowd Health. Putting your life on autopilot is a guaranteed way to disappointment. If you carelessly buy a new house, marry just anybody, or make any other big life decision before taking care of yourself, what are you doing? Let's be honest. The insurance model is broken. Thanks to Crowd Health, we can do something about it. Crowd Health puts your health care back in your hands. Cut out the middleman, save money, and fund your health care costs without relying on big government or big insurance companies. Only pay the first $500 of any healthcare event. The Crowd Health community takes care of the rest. No exclusive doctor networks, no huge premiums or high deductibles, no surprises. Crowd Health beats insurance by totally reversing the vicious incentives that got us into this mess in the first place. So take charge of your healthcare today with Crowd Health. Open enrollment is the only time you can hit the eject on a broken system without penalty, so don't wait. And for a limited time, join for just $99 per month for your first 6 months when you use the promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com, promo code FEARLESS. Crowd Health is not health insurance. It's a totally different way of paying for your health care. Terms and conditions may apply. All right, you can email me and us at fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com. Korean Cosell, we'll talk some NFL. Next.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Listen that I'm back just to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. Time for some Korean Cosell. Time to talk some NFL with, I'm going to say something nice about Steve Kim. He's not as ugly as he used to be. How about that? It's time to welcome in Steve Kim. Steve, welcome back to the show. Want to talk a little NFL, and I'm going to sneak in a little college football conversation with you at the end as well. I think you'll be prepared for that. But let's start with the biggest story coming out of the NFL yesterday. Dallas Cowboys destroy the Minnesota Vikings 40-3. This is a week after losing to the Green Bay Packers. Now everybody's ready to crown the Cowboys. How impressive were the Cowboys? Does it change your opinion on what their ceiling is?
Yes, it actually does. And again, I don't want to overreact. This is a week-to-week league, but I thought the tone was set, Jason, literally on the third play of the game. Kirk Cousins third down, doesn't get the ball off. Micah Parsons, sack, fumble, recovery, and then a few plays later, Dallas punches it in. Once Dallas got an early 2-possession lead, the game felt over. It really did, because one thing about Dallas's defense, the way you really try to neutralize them is to run the ball. But if you're already down several possessions early in a game and you cannot run that ball, and then all of a sudden that fleet of pass rushers that comes from all over are able to pin their ears back, it felt, let's put it this way. That was supposed to be Ollie Frazier yesterday for a regular season game. I'm just telling you, I didn't realize he was that good out of the backfield. I don't really watch every play of the Cowboys, but this is a guy that if he's not going to be the heavy-duty 25 carries a game type of player, you make sure he gets 20 to 25 touches, and I would start designing stuff out of the backfield for him, because that guy is an absolute weapon. He gives them juice.
Game, and I think OBJ is going to come back right after Thanksgiving, and there's enough momentum, and this blowout performance probably will have baited OBJ to making the Cowboys the favorite. OBJ and the Cowboys, that'd be good marketing, good brand build-up for OBJ. But let's listen to Jerry Jones talk about OBJ.
Report that Odell Beckham is going to visit you guys and the Giants after Thanksgiving. Has that been set up? You guys have a visit set up on Odell?
Well, yes, but and I will leave it at that.
So this week? This week? Yes.
No, I just said yes, and I will leave it at that. Your statement was after Thanksgiving, and that's the yes. I'm not saying just when. I'm not trying to be cute. We just don't have that set up. Okay. But we're planning to get together at the time.
What do you need to see from the medical?
Again, I'm just certainly it's time for us to sit down and visit.
All right, Jerry Jones cashing in, thinking he's got a Super Bowl team, wants to add OBJ. You like it? Love it?
You know, this is exactly why the great Jimmy S. Johnson had a problem with Jerry. He's a terrible GM. And look, I'm not completely opposed to OBJ coming to Dallas, but look at this team. There's an old phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You already know CeeDee Lamb's your number one. Michael Gallup is getting healthy. Okay, little Corbin is a guy that they can run in. I think he's an explosive little playmaker that's going to have an expanded role. Noah Brown can make plays. Now you got Pollard, who can absolutely be a weapon, right? And Dalton Schultz is a pretty good tight end. I give OBJ credit for last year for understanding I could be the second or third banana behind Cooper Kupp and maybe even Van Jefferson. I don't know if this team needs him. If I'm Odell Beckham Jr., you have to weigh, where do I want to go, but where am I needed? I mean, I look at that Giants team, and look, they just lost Wan'Dale Robinson, and Plaxico Burress ain't walking through that door. Lionel Manuel ain't walking through that door. But again, he probably doesn't not see an easy road to the Super Bowl. If you look at Dallas, I don't know if I want to upset this chemistry. Jason, look at their next 4 games, the Cowboys. Okay, before they play Philadelphia at home, they play their traditional Thanksgiving game in Dallas against the Giants. I believe the Giants will come down and they'll be struck by gravity in the second half. Okay? Then they play Indy. That's probably a win. Then they play Houston. That's a win. And then they play Jacksonville. Jason, I think they have a full cupboard of offensive weapons. Don't put any more pressure on Dak to have to feed a guy. Remember the thing when they had Antonio Bryant a few years ago when he was the clear number one? There was always this belief that Dak felt pressure to feed number 88. You know what? I'm not doing that again.
Bryant?
Excuse me.
Dez Bryant?
Yeah, I got my 88s mixed up. Dez Bryant was a little bit of an issue of how they dealt with him. Look, Dak in this particular offense does not have to be Troy Aikman. What he has to be is just a solid point guard, and understand the running game is our friend. That is our strength. Let's make this a Tony Pollard offense with the little Zeke Elliott mixed in when we need to get the tough physical yards. I would actually say right now, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I would say, Jerry, I know you own the team, but I'm the football coach. I don't think we need him. Don't think we need him.
I'll say this. The Giants are a fugazi, and OBJ would be stupid to go to the Giants.
Agreed.
The Giants, got their skulls cracked by the Detroit Lions yesterday. They're frauds. And
You know
so
what,
the
OBJ
Cowboys are in the driver's seat.
Right now, Dallas right now is happily married. OBJ is that one night jump off. No, don't ruin this. It's a good union. It's a happy home. No. Keep your vows. Stay loyal. Be faithful. Put a ring on that. Jeez. Just saying.
All right. Micah Parsons had another great game, 2 sacks, forced fumble. Dallas's defense, terrific again. Patrick Mahomes had another 300-yard performance, knocked off the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football. And Derrick Henry is licking his wounds after leading the Titans to a Thursday night football win. Those are my 3 leading candidates for MVP. And I rank them Derrick Henry 1, Micah Parsons 2, Patrick Mahomes 3. That's how I see the MVP race at this moment. I think because it's a quarterback-driven league, guys like yourself will probably lean Mahomes. But I see Derrick Henry as the most valuable player. He's carrying the Tennessee Titans. Micah Parsons, a strong number 2. And look, I don't want to discredit Patrick Mahomes, what he's doing. They didn't have their receivers yesterday. Not only, Tyreek Hill down in Miami, but they didn't have Juju Smith-Schuster. They didn't have McCole Hardman. And they put 30 points on the Chargers, no problem. Patrick Mahomes is great, but I still think it's Derrick Henry, Micah Parsons, Patrick Mahomes.
I don't have a major disagreement. I will say this. When Patrick Mahomes, once again, is going to have 5,000 yards at 66% passing, and he's actually driving the ball probably as well as any quarterback, or is consistently challenging defenses downfield, he's going to have another 50 touchdown season. If that's the standard he set, that says a lot about him. I think when it's all said and done, number 15 will be the MVP. Micah Parsons will win the Defensive Player of the Year. Let's be honest, that NFL MVP, it's really about the offense, specifically the quarterback. Here's my concern about King Henry. And I think he's as indispensable and as important to any team in the league, right? Just because of the value that he brings. I mean, he had 87 yards on Thursday, but it felt like a lot more because he opened up everything for Tannehill, right? But remember that great movie, The Blues Brothers? Remember that movie? Jake and Elwood. Remember at the end of the movie, they had a full tank of gas, 100 miles to go in Chicago, and they had sunglasses on, but they're on a mission from God. So they're zigging and they're zagging. Great shootout scene after the concert. They had to get the check so that the Penguin could save a youth center or a church. And they pull up to that building, right? And that black Cadillac, it was a great car. It just fell apart. Remember that? And they had a moment of silence because it just fell apart. A lot of hard miles on it. I kind of worry about that with Derrick Henry. There's some miles on it, and it's almost like they over-rely on him. But again, he's a durable guy for the most part. Remember last year, he did not play a complete season. So in terms of sustainability and consistency, the safest bet to win that MVP is Mahomes.
Steve, I screwed up this morning and forgot to include in our prep sheet the number one thing I want to talk with you about today is because you're a college football fan and expert, is what's happening to this Marcus Stokes, the high school quarterback, 4-star recruit, white guy, headed to the University of Florida. He's rapping some commercial rap song that the hook or the chorus has the word my N-words or something in it, and he records himself driving his car and singing the song, and he puts it over social media. And the University of Florida has stripped this young man, of his scholarship. This seems criminally insane to me, that an 18-year-old kid singing a song that's put out for everybody to listen to. The whole design of music is to provoke people into singing it. And we're destroying this young man's life over singing a rap song that everybody else in the country sings. I don't know what the University of Florida is doing or thinking. I know the social media thing is rigged up, and that these coaches and the administration in Florida in a tough spot because we've created this fake alternate universe world. But this is reprehensible and repulsive. I've seen some of his high school teammates. I've seen some of his high school friends that are black tweeting out like, hey man, y'all got Marcus Stokes all messed up. That ain't him at all. There's nothing racist about this dude. When is this gonna stop? When is the gotcha, hey, you sung a rap song thing? When is that going to stop?
Never. And this may surprise you, but Marcus Stokes, I think it was a lot easier for the Gators to drop him after they flipped Jaden Rashad, another four-star quarterback that might have a higher ceiling. Look, this is a business. But I know Marcus is young, and look, I know a lot of people are going to have that argument about the context of that particular word. That shall not be spoken, right? Here's the issue, though. Marcus, you don't understand what's been taking place for the past 15 years. He should have known better. Look, I get it that he's young, but in the age of social media where you see all the outrage, you see all the virtue signaling, you're telling me you did not realize saying that word was going to get you into trouble? We have so far gone beyond, well, it's the context, right? The context is, and it's not fair, and this is the rules, if you're a white guy, don't say it. In fact, be careful even when you say the word Neanderthal or ninja. That's the case. Look, growing up, I used to hear this all the time from the white folks. Oh my God, if they could say the word, how come I can't? And after a while, I just said, well, first of all, why would you want to? Second of all, see that big 6'7" guy with the Nation of Islam garb that looks like he came out of Rikers with all those tattoos, looks like he bench presses 450 pounds on a light day? Yeah, go ahead, tell it to him. If you really want to say it that badly, go ahead. Look, no one is saying it's fair. I think there's a certain
I'm going to tell you why they want to say it.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why they want to say it is because popular culture has made it so popular.
You're absolutely
You can't listen
right.
to a rap song that isn't built around that word, and everybody's partying and dancing and singing, and Kanye, these guys go on concerts, and when Kanye West said, I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no, they all scream it at a concert, the rappers ask them to, and it's a concert filled with white people, and the rappers ask the audience to sing it and say it. We act, it's human nature. If you see somebody appearing to have, they're having fun, they're all screaming the N-word, that looks like fun, and they're making money off of it, blah, blah, blah. It's gonna make people wanna do it. Again, my reaction to the whole thing is, why does anybody wanna say it? Black, white, whatever.
You are right, but look, the dearly departed DMX had a great run. The guy had like 4 albums in like 7 months back in, what a run. He was the Archie Moore of hip hop, right? He had one of his catchiest songs is My Ninja, right? Bernard Hopkins used to love that song. And so if you were a black boxer who came out to that, everyone would be bobbing their head. There might be people that are singing along with it, people holding up the belts, Boondini Brown doing the crip walk, if that's your entourage. But if you're a white guy in that audience, don't you dare sing along. You just can't do it. That's the rule. In fact, could you imagine if a white boxer, could you imagine if Kelly Pavlik came out to My Ninja? Oh, that would be awkward. But that's the rules. I didn't make the rules. It's like that old line from Roddy Piper. Every time you have the answers, I change the questions. It's not fair, but that's what it is.
And so my whole problem is, Steve, I don't believe in playing by their rules because I think their rules are stupid, silly, and divisive, and we have to man up and quit playing by their stupid rules. Because if we play by their stupid rules, we're always going to be divided, always. And so let's quit playing by their rules. Let's practice forgiveness. Let's practice young people. Again, I spit on someone in high school that I was bullying. That's much worse than Marcus Stokes repeating the N-word in a rap song. Much worse. It leaves like real scars. And so all this game of pretending like, oh my God, when a white person says that word, I just ball up and cry, and it reminds me of all the pain of my ancestors. That's all a gimmick. It's a lie. It's a lie. And everybody knows it. Because if that word was reprehensible, it wouldn't be black people's favorite word in the dictionary. Even though it is.
Yeah, well,
it's like crack cocaine,
You know what I'm learning about hip hop all these years later? C. Dolores Tucker should have been taken more seriously. We should have listened to her, okay? But this is ironic. Remember Riley Cooper, the Philadelphia Eagles receiver who dropped that word at a concert? Because, by the way, he went to the University of Florida, too. I found that interesting. Ironic, right? Yeah. And there was this big debate about should he lose his job? Should he get cut? The Eagles decided, no, you're good enough. We're going to keep you. I don't remember that actually dividing the locker room. I believe deep down inside of a lot of the players probably are like, yeah, I mean, we use it all the time. It really doesn't have much cachet as it did. I'm not going to let it bother me. Maybe they were bothered by it, but I don't remember it being that big of a distraction except for that 1 week when everyone spoke about it. But that's the general rule. If you're not black, don't use the word, no matter how illogical, how unfair, doesn't matter about context, just don't use that word. Just don't.
What percentage of Florida's actions are because they landed another quarterback recruit and they were looking for a way to get out from underneath him? What percentage would you put on that?
I would say some. I think it lessens. I mean, Rashad is a pretty good player. I've seen him. He was supposed to go to Miami, then he decided to flip. He's pretty talented. He's actually out of Northern California. He's a good player. He's the type of guy that's probably going to be their quarterback of the future after Anthony Richardson. I would say that he's ranked higher than Marcus Stokes. But there's another thing. This is all about optics, like much of virtue signaling, which we're seeing a lot of in Qatar. We'll talk about that later. But they did not want this, in my view, the University of Florida and Billy Napier, to possibly impact their recruiting of other black players. That's my view of it. It's like, oh, if we keep them, other teams are going to really use this negatively against us on the trail. And they're going to say, hey, you're going to go to a school that lets a player post something like that? Not us. We would never do that. So a lot of this, again, is virtue signaling, and it's really about the ability to recruit other players down the line. I don't think, again, Marcus Stokes may be a fine young man. I'm really glad that his teammates have enough guts to actually stand up and say, wait a minute, he's actually a good guy. We're good with him. That takes a lot of courage nowadays in 2022. But unfortunately, an institution or an athletic department like Florida or anyone playing big-time Division I football is almost handcuffed and has to make this punitive decision.
Marcus, if you're out there watching this or someone sends this to Marcus, tell him I would love for him to commit to Ball State University. I'll pave the way. I'll get Dave Letterman. We'll put an NIL deal together for you. We'll take you at Ball State. All right. Thank you, Steve. Great job as always. Get your Fearless Army swag, shopblazemedia.com/fearless. We're going to continue our football discussion. Jason Brown, Last Chance Q, is going to join us. He's got an interesting theory on what's going on with injuries in the NFL and the NBA, all related to weed. He also wants to talk some Lamar Jackson. We'll do all that next. All right, welcome back. Time for a little Last Chance Q and a conversation with Jason Brown. You guys remember from Last Chance U. You remember from this show. Jason Brown comes on and gives us some of the best quarterback evaluations, football evaluations, and sports evaluations on this show or anywhere you can find on these internets. JB, welcome back to the show. Before we get into your main topic, I wanted to give you a chance to break down what's going on with Lamar Jackson. I believe in his last maybe 7 games, he's got 6 TDs and 6 turnovers. They knocked off the Carolina Panthers yesterday, but didn't do it in impressive fashion. Lamar placed a big bet on Lamar Jackson, and I'm not sure, he may be losing some contract leverage. What are you seeing?
I mean, hate to say, I told everyone so, but he's just being Lamar Jackson.
No, you don't.
Great talent, great athlete. But once you start to schematically adjust in the NFL, like D coordinators do, they get paid a lot of money to do so. They start to get film on you, right? So there's been film now accumulated through the season, and we're into week 10 now. You've got 9 game films or whatever. And now you're starting to say, okay, let's pin our ears back. Let's do a few things schematically to keep him in the pocket, make him throw, which he does not want to do. That's not his strong suit. And in the NFL, I just don't think you can live and die with your feet. Look at Justin Fields. He's now possibly injured. The sustainability is just not there with this type of skill set. And I'm sorry, you got to be able to throw the football on time from the pocket. And this history has not only proven that, but I think I've been right on hitting the nail on the head here when I talk about these quarterbacks. Nothing personal. It's just the truth. And the truth is now setting some folks free.
I was watching the Colts-Eagles game and thought about you because Jalen Hurts made a couple of plays that were highlight plays. But I was watching him going, oh, JB hates this. He's just kind of running around, and with his feet, he ended up making a great play, and the announcers are all excited. But a coach is sitting over going, oh, my God, this is a nightmare scenario. And the Eagles got lucky yesterday and were able to pull it out. But I'm wondering, do you think there's any similarities between Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts?
There is. Jalen has increased his throwing ability because he went out and got better skill set wise. So he got technically sound over the offseason. His platforms changed, his throwing mechanics, his elbow height. We call this the platform. Last year he was real low. This year he's keeping his elbow high. The ball is being delivered a lot more fluently. He looks a lot better. But at the same time, his production just does not equal success. His production, touchdowns versus interceptions, I think he's got 15 touchdowns on the season, 4 interceptions. That's just not enough for me. For my starting quarterback in the NFL, I need 25 touchdowns by now. This is barely a touchdown a game. Like, we're barely a touchdown and a half a game. And this is the second week in a row, Jason. Jalen's thrown for under 200 yards. The production value just does not – you need chunk yards in the teeth of defenses late in the season to win playoff games. And 175 yards last week, they lost. 195 yards yesterday, should have lost, but they got it done. So he's still, a one-loss team, the Eagles. But it's starting to show, is this team – really that team that we're worried about in the NFC? Or is it now Dallas again? Or is it now Washington with the quarterback who I've said should have been replacing Carson Wentz weeks ago? And now he looks like he's a 5-1 quarterback all of a sudden. And the Washington Commanders are now a legitimate team to worry about just because of the energy, the defense they play, and the style they play. Now you have to worry about them. So Jalen Hurts, like I said, I just don't see him winning a Super Bowl just for the fact that he doesn't do more. The positives don't outweigh the negatives in a large enough margin. Let me say it that way. There's not enough positive to the negative. It's kind of even. He didn't throw any picks, coach, but he didn't throw any touchdowns either. That doesn't help me. Like I told a story on my show today, I threw 3 picks in a game. 2 of them pick sixes. I threw 6 touchdowns, though. We won the game. I don't care about throwing picks, but if your production value outweighs the average to negative, then that's what we need. And that's what you've seen Tom Brady throw 6 touchdowns in a game and 3 picks. So is Aaron Rodgers. But you know what? They won the game in the yardage, the chunk yardage, and the touchdowns. Get it done at the end of the day, which I think is the common denominator in winning Super Bowls.
All right, so yesterday you texted me or we talked, I can't remember, about your theory that there's an uptick in injuries in the NFL and the NBA, and you're relating it to the excessive weed smoking of professional athletes. You made me go look up studies that talk about bone density reduction from weed smoke. You told me yesterday your show this morning was going to focus on this topic. Could you unpack as best you can what you're seeing and explain this theory?
Yeah, so like over the weekend, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I hated weed around my teams, my players. When I was younger, we all grew up with this stuff. Everyone smoked weed. Everyone we grew up with smoked weed. The difference, I think, back then and now, and I hate to be that old man on the front lawn yelling, right? Everybody's going to say that. But the truth of the matter is, even the guys we played with, Jason, like you did at Ball State, like you did in high school, whatever it may be, what I did in junior college and college, the dudes on the team were like, you know what? We're buying into our brotherhood, our teammates. We're not going to screw this up. So we're going to cut down on the weed during season. And this used to be a conscious effort by the players. Like we used to hear that all the time, man. And the coaches would reiterate, hey, man, I know you guys smoke, but let's calm down. This is season time. And I think players understood it. We took it serious. And I'm looking around and I'm like, there's no way we have 900 professional athletes. And unfortunate, it's a demographic drug, right? It's a socio cultural drug that we talk about when we talk about marijuana. You talk about white trash a lot in the backwoods. What is the drug of choice? Probably meth. The drug of choice in the hood, Jason? It's probably weed. Or it's crack. You know how many crack babies I've recruited and coached? So it is a cultural thing, in my opinion, as far as the weed goes. And what is the NBA 99% of? What is the NFL 99% of? African-American, black males. And I've been looking at this study, and I'm sitting there like, why do we have so many injuries? And why, when they are healing or come back, it is at a 75% slower rate than just 10 years ago. The return rate on an injury is 75% less now than it used to be. So it was 75% quicker just 10 years ago to return from an injury, especially a bone injury or a soft tissue injury or a muscular injury. Now I'm looking into this. I've talked to 6 doctors over the weekend. My mom's one as well has been dealing with bones, but I said, you know what? I'm going to try to be as non-biased as possible. I'm not going to use her information she tells me on my show this morning, so I didn't. But what I have found out, like heavy cannabis users, they got lower hip bone mineral density, meaning if you look at Zion Williamson, what was wrong with him last year? Hip. Guess what he did afterwards? Blew up, blossomed, heavy. That is the number one common denominator when you smoke weed. Marijuana sits there and, okay, now my bones aren't healing like we once thought they would, or they used to, because we smoke so much. And now we're not healing. Plus, we are more susceptible to injury in the bone. And I brought up all these graphics today. I brought up all these pictures. I sent you a few. The NBA is riddled with bone fractures. The NBA has more hamstring and soft tissue injuries we've ever seen before. And that has to do, you got a hamstring injury, guess what? The bone supporting it is very, very brittle. And no one's talking about it. And Jason, I'm not sitting here saying it's factual. All I'm saying is, why has no one brought this up? And if it is a thing, maybe we come out and say, you know what, this is a real thing. Let's halt on the weed and the marijuana, and let's see what happens. Can we recover? Can we? And I had a guy on my show today, we argued it, and he smoked weed after he retired. And I said, listen, you had a bone issue. What made you retire from the NFL? I had a bone issue in my knee. I said, did you ever look into if it was weed? No. How do we know? That's all my point is. Like, what if this really is a thing? Jason, I'm just going to tell you, I've witnessed this playing with a buddy of mine who played. All he did was smoke every single day, no water. And from what I do know from my mom and other doctors, the intake of water needs to be 10 times the amount of what you inhale. And if we're inhaling smoke, and I don't care, let's not even talk about marijuana. Let's say cigarettes. Let's say cigars. Let's say any type of vape, whatever you want to do. That smoke gets into you. The microfibers of the smoke get into your bone marrow, into your bone, and it starts to deteriorate. And if you don't drink enough water, it makes your bones so brittle, just like any dehydration, just like if we're taking pre-workout. You got to drink 10 times the amount of water. You got hamstring pulls. You got torn muscles. Have to hydrate. You know damn well these cats ain't drinking water like we once did. And we're smoking weed higher than we ever have. John Morant, Zion Williamson, Kevin Love. It's come out documented these guys smoke. So, I'm not saying it's bad or I'm not a hater on it. All I'm saying is let's do some research. And in 10 years, this thing comes out and is really a fact why we have so many injuries and why we're not recovering. The Chargers, I pulled up rosters, Jason. 20, 30 players on each team have been injured or hurt because of either a fractured bone, a stress fracture, or some type of high ankle sprain. And then we have hamstrings at an all-time high. And I'm starting to put all the correlation together. I'm correlating everything. I'm like, you know what? This could be real. And no one wants to bring it up. And you know what, Jason? What's funny, and I'll leave you at this. Anyone that's pro anything is always going to fight the fact that this could be something. And I had a chat of 500 people live today, and they're just, Coach, alcohol's worse. And I'm like, listen, that's not the debate. I've never drank a fifth of cognac and went out and played and found out, there's no correlation. This isn't a relative thing. I'm just saying that this could be a real thing. And if all the weed smokers in my chat, Jason, were hated me today, and everyone that was open-minded and said, dehydration, smoke, brittle bone, could be onto something. So anyone that's thinking outside the box and understanding anything at all in the medical field, you can probably look it up. And I actually got unfortunate. I had a nurse on today, and she said all her doctors totally agree and say that is a true thing. Bone density is a real thing, marijuana and smoke in general. And you do need to hydrate. And I don't think our youth is doing it enough. And I don't think we're doing it enough. And I'm just throwing it out there. Heavy cannabis use. I got these stats in front of me. It's like, in the last 10 years, Jason, the recovery rate from professional athletes, basketball and football only right now. I haven't done anything else. But an interesting deal is, though, why isn't hockey players coming up injured every day with bone issues, with soft tissue, with muscular issues? And why are they returning so fast? Now, they may be taking a whole nother drug, but maybe weed ain't the one, because they're playing. They're available, Jason. And as you know,
let me ask, I want to ask this question, because I think the point you're making is very relevant. Is everything we've heard about weed smoke the last 10 years is like, it's one of the greatest things in the world. Helps your glaucoma. It helps you inflammation. It's everything's like weed smoke's the greatest thing in the world. And oh my God, if we all just smoke weed, it'd all be a happy place. It's too good to be true. There's nothing like that oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. It makes you fat. It makes you lazy. It messes with your attention span. It does so many negative things. And look, anything that is that popular in hip hop, I'm just sorry, it's not a good thing. There's not. That's like, killing black people. That's popular in hip hop. It's a bad thing. Oh, disrespect to women. It's popular in hip hop. It's a bad thing. Disrespect among black men. It's a bad thing. All of the things. And so, hip hop promotes weed smoke, and I'm supposed to believe it's the greatest thing in the world. I've never believed it. I used to smoke weed when I was in college. And occasionally, maybe my senior year when I was done playing football more. But you are right. I can remember in my day, and this is in the 80s, guys did I ain't doing this during the season. And we took the season seriously. And I can't even remember, I'm not gonna name the quarterback, but the players ran off a quarterback they went to the coaches and complained that he was smoking too much weed during the season, And the players took it upon themselves to snitch on the dude and say he's not reliable, he smokes too much weed, sets a bad tone, and they ran him off the team. It's
The times have changed.
I agree. It's worth looking at. It's worth looking at and asking what are the ramifications.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's factual evidence. I'm just saying that there is some numbers out there, and I'm gonna say it like this, Jason. Compile that with lack of sleep with this youth, this generation, video games and cell phones at an all-time high. There's guys reports out there, these virtual reality glasses games these guys are going 20 hours straight without sleep. Now compile that with smoking weed, which I know these players in the NBA and the NFL play video games at an all-time rate, don't sleep at an all-time rate, and smoke weed at an all-time rate. You compile all that together, and you look at the bodies of our professional athletes today. I wish I can share my screen because I can show you the NBA players that are hurt. They're not Dwight Howard-looking dudes. These guys are sloppy. It's like in the NFL, the same thing with the NFL player. They're not the same guys that we want. There's no TOs no more. There's none of these guys that really cared about their bodies, NBA, NFL, otherwise. But we are caring about video games, smoking weed, and weed gives you the munchies, man. I'm not going to say nothing else, but I'm just saying it is very interesting at least to look at. And I've got some great data this weekend talking to 6 different doctors, 3 that I knew, 3 that I didn't, that I got to meet. And they all agree, and they all say, you know what? It is a very valid point. But guess what 2 of the doctors told me, Jason? I bet you nobody ever hears from it on mainstream media. You know why? Marijuana makes too much money for us. We make too much money. So why would we bring it up? Why would we bring up that it hurts the bones? Why would we bring up that it hurts recovery rates? It's just like the whole, any conspiracy theory you can ever think of. And, there's more in the pharmaceutical world than any other probably. That is another medication. And I'm not
JB,
against
I'm gonna connect it to the conversation I was having at the beginning of the show about Kyrie Irving. Is the power brokers, the puppet masters, they want these athletes drunk, high, and stupid. They're easier to control. Put a joint in their hand, put a video game controller in their hand, put social media in their hands, go play with that, go smoke a joint, go tweet, go on Instagram, DM, and go play these video games and shut up, we'll make all the decisions for you. And it's that they have legalized the drugs to make these guys more docile, more malleable, more simple, and it's worked. And you can't even have the conversation because, oh my God, now smoking weed is now a black thing, and if you don't smoke weed, you're not really black, and all this other stuff. It's a sad place. JB, I gotta let you go. Go. I give final thought, and I'm gonna let you go.
Hey, I'll leave you at this. I've never seen in my life as a player with a teammate, as a coach with a player, not one thing you can show me that is positive from smoking weed. Not one. I've never seen a guy go for 400 yards high as a kite. I've never seen a guy break 6 tackles and win me a football game. You know what I have seen? I've seen him miss assignments. I've seen him drop footballs. I've seen him blow assignments. I've seen him miss tackles. I've seen him miss weight room, study hall, and class. I've never seen guys just, this is the best thing ever. And if it was, Jason, I think we'd have a cure for cancer and everything else they're talking about. Why don't we? If it's so great. I'm just confused here on this whole weed thing. And I've never smoked, Jason. That's probably why I'm against it. But also at the same time, being around it in athletics, I would find it hard to believe. I'm curious to see, Jason, the Virginia shooting, the New Mexico State shooting that just occurred. I'm hearing it's over weed and females, just from having buddies in those programs. A shocker. It's about weed, and another black male or female gets shot over weed. No way. And people don't want to talk about it, though. It's unbelievable to me. That's just what it is. Hey, guys, by the way, Kyler Murray didn't play last week. Cardinals look pretty dang good.
They play tonight, don't they? Don't the Cardinals play tonight?
Tonight. Yep.
Yeah. They play. So we'll see if Kyler returns and what he does. Thank you, JB. I got to go. I can't think of one all-time great, not a Hall of Famer, but a great NFL player who couldn't practice or play unless he was high on marijuana. Andre so he would probably dispute JB. But anyway, that's tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
We want freedom. I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want.